everybody, so we've got a fun review today, so we're talking about Infinity Pool. This is a film that has been on my radar for a significant amount of time. I was a huge fan of Brandon Cronenberg's previous work, Possessor. It was grotesque, it was awesome, but this follow-up did have me very intrigued. It just premiered not that long ago at the Sundance Film Festival, and it stars some actors that I quite enjoy. Alexander Skarsgård, the new Scream Queen Mia Goth, and all of those ingredients, plus it being a Cronenberg film, had me really intrigued to check this out. Infinity Pool follows a married couple who travels to a remote island for a beach vacation. However, when a fatal accident occurs, it exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. Similar to how I felt after finishing Possessor, Infinity Pool just has me in awe of what Brandon Cronenberg is able to do here as a filmmaker. He's somehow able to make these beautifully twisted stories with some very profound ideas behind them, and I could definitely say after this film, I think he is one of the most intriguing up-and-coming directors around right now. While I guarantee that Infinity Pool will engineer polarizing responses among audiences, it's a very original, mind-bending concept with thought-provoking things for the audience to ponder as its story plunges you into deeply unsettling, haunting nightmare scenarios over the course of the film. Not since maybe Eli Roth's Hostel has a film ever made me just so genuinely terrified of tourism or just exploring another country. The country in Infinity Pool is fictional, but still, I don't want to go there. Infinity Pool becomes a much more interesting film once we settle into the idea and we have that inciting incident occur for Alexander Skarsgård's character when he hits a person with his car, and he's presented with, in a sense, a get-out-of-jail-free card. For the right price, we can just create a clone of you, and you can do all the horrible, heinous crimes you want, and that clone is going to be the one that takes all the punishment for you. That concept in of itself is very fascinating, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that would jump on that idea if given the opportunity, if it was real, but it really plays with your morality, how scary this idea could be if the wrong people were able to use it and exploit it. Since we see over the course of the film the depravity of these people that use these clones and get off on watching these clones be tortured and executed, it gets vicious and bleak learning more about this underworld of people who are just so into all of this stuff. It's almost kind of hypnotic, as I wanted to look away because there was so much blood and gore and trippy, just messed up all around visuals that's on par with his previous film Possessor and how it blends all these different kinds of horror together with trippy sci-fi atmosphere. But I don't know, there was just something about it where I couldn't look away. I will just warn you, it is a Cronenberg film. It's very messed up, it is very gory, so if you're not familiar with Brandon Cronenberg or his father David Cronenberg's work, maybe steer clear of it. It is pretty brutal. Can't say it's a massive surprise, but the acting all around in Infinity Pool I thought was superb as well. Alexander Skarsgård continues to be phenomenal in every role I see him in, and he really is able to step out of his comfort zone in pretty much every film I've ever seen him in, and he continues to do that in Infinity Pool. Taking on this challenging character of this self-loathing, failing author and forced to tackle some extreme emotions. If there's one thing that people can't say about Alexander Skarsgård, is that he will not go the extra mile for his roles. He was fighting naked on top of a volcano in The Northman. Now he's shirtless with a leash around his neck in Infinity Pool. The man goes the extra mile, and he knows what his fans want. Much like every other horror film I've seen Mia Goth in, she is one of the best parts. She is, in my opinion, one of the new queens of horror, and she gets better pretty much every film that she's in. She's truly amazing here, easily flipping on a dime from a more mild-mannered character going into completely deranged, chaotic ball of insane energy, especially when she's pushing Alexander Skarsgård's character towards his limits. For all the people that love Mia Goth going absolutely unhinged in a film, this is yet another film for you. I am just loving all of the horror films that Mia Goth is involved in. A Cure for Wellness, the Suspiria remake, X and Pearl, and then Maxine is on the horizon too. Basically by now, if you have Mia Goth in a horror film, you're going to get an excellent performance, and that's no different here. It's not my favorite Mia Goth performance. I think her performance as Pearl still is a little bit better. Other than them, the characters in general aren't really given a whole lot to work with. Cleopatra Coleman, I do think, is solid, but not as memorable as Alexander Skarsgård or Mia Goth. While I'm not entirely sure if this was intentional by the filmmakers or not, the story as a whole does feel vaguely empty. Its strength really does lie in creating twisted, horrific atmosphere with this take on tourism, but I just felt like at times the story was a bit too weak, with many holes where we could have developed the world more of this fictional island on this made-up country. I guess maybe potentially because it is this made-up world, it kind of has that surrealism aspect to it, but I'd like to have learned a little bit more, you know? Infinity Pool certainly isn't a horror film for everyone just due to the material involved and all of the blood blood, sex, and violence, but there's a real level of craft and creativity that really makes this stand out in the genre. I don't think it's as strong as Possessor, but I do think it is a solid outing for Brandon Cronenberg as a director, and like I said earlier, I think between both of these films, he has a very fascinating vision, very similar to his dad in a way, but also has his own unique creative vision that I'd like to see explored more. If you were a fan of his previous film, Possessor, I think you are going to have a fun time with this. Well, I wouldn't say fun. It's not exactly a fun film by any means, but you're going to enjoy it to some level if you're into that type of weird style of horror that Brandon Cronenberg and his father bring to the table. Either way, make sure you share your thoughts down below. What did you think of Infinity Pool if you had a chance to check out the film? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Which is your favorite between the two? Do you prefer Possessor? Do you prefer this film? Either way, share your thoughts down below in the comment section. It's part of the fun this time in the conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. Thank you guys. Always check the reviews. I always do appreciate it. Make sure you like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so always update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, see you guys later.